This
what
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so project definition part, which like SAP wise you are clear, but what is the thinking behind having the structure as a header? Then customizing the project profile. Project profile is a very important, like the parent field, which determines how the workflow of your project will be going ahead. Okay, then WBS structure, followed by network activities, PS text and documents, project builder, project planning board, statuses, simulations and versions. This is your first module that we will be covering in detail. Then we come to module 2, date planning, resource planning, material planning, cost planning, revenue planning. So planning functions will be covering in the module 2. And if you find anything that we are missing in module this planning functions, then you can let me know. I'll try to add it so that you are not missing it. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
If you find any difference, want to add something, just let me know. Okay. Then in budget scenario, we are going to cover the original budget, the budget release, the budget supplement, budget return, budget carry forward. Okay, so these 3 things also we are going to 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 sessions on like 5 topics on budget we are going to cover. Then on module 4, the execution part, which is the actual dates, confirmations, procurement of services, material procurement, billing, project progress. These things we are going to cover. Okay, how we are going to track the progress. Module 5 will be integration with finance part, where we are going to see the project settlements, profitability analysis, RE analysis, result analysis here. And finally, 6, as a managerial point of view, we are going to check the reportings, structural report, financial reports. Is there anything else you would like to add here?
See, ma'am, these all points what you have told us, like these are so familiar to me and Atul. Okay, because we both are doing this all things. But yes, of course, we want to go to the integrity of this. We never know that what are the missing links we have done in our.
This conference will now be recorded.
When you go into finance, like RA reporting, invoicing, so there is a financial integration. When you go to PR to PO conversion, there's a P2P integration. So you will be seeing everything regarding that. So need not worry.
Okay, and another thing, what means what I find in my this experience from the Deloitte, we had been asking a lot of things like a lot of customization. Okay, which is not a standard feature of the SAP. So I would really like to know if someone will ask you means beyond from the SAP limit, and that can be customized in the system. How to drive those operations? Like if I need a yeah, ma'am.
So we do that once we are aware of how the standard things are working, then we'll go to deviations.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yes.
So first of all, like as a consultant, this training goes on from today. So like first tell me like how many types of project you're looking at when you're looking at SAP system. From a layman's perspective, can you tell me what are the types of projects possible and why do we go for projects? Why not standard orders?
The projects are trunky one, right? You have to complete the total cycle in the project.
So what do you mean by project cycle? What is the difference between a project and a logistic standard order?
Means order to case.
Order to cash. So what is the difference you see between a project sales order and a normal standard order?
Normal standard order means I'm not getting you actually. What
in
does it mean by this?
You must be having a standard order, right? Which is not integrated with projects. You're just buying the material or some SAP.
Because we have one segment. Yes. We have a segment of in our Bajaj Electrical itself. We have two segment. One is CP, one is EPC. In EPC, we are taking the order from the customer where we need to bill the customer in a precise rate. Okay. Where we and against to that we have to give the purchase order to the our vendor. So when there is when there is a 3 person are there, one is the customer, one is the executor, one is the vendor. Then
Hmm.
three ways should be there. Like you are getting some money from the customer and you are paying to the vendor. Okay.
Fine.
Then I
Okay.
think that is the project
Let
thing, right?
me, like, you are again giving me a requirement. Okay, so let me just come to that. Fine. We're not taking a requirement here. The difference between a normal logistics order, that is different from, just a second. Yeah, that is different from normal project order is that in project, apart from the order, what a project is very specific, and apart from the order, what important is the people, the resources that you are involving. That cost is also taken. The time you're spending. Every project is unique. Why? Because it is not just a material transaction that is happening, and you have to do the invoicing, but all the efforts that is
Resources.
taken to complete that order is also taken into account.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
Resources,
every,
OBCs and all.
yes, Vibhuti, are you saying something?
No, I'm saying like resources, OVC,
Every resources,
overhead, yeah,
time, additional
time,
material, any services that you have included, everything. But when
yeah,
you do a normal order, you are just invoicing the material or the assembly product that you have created. So
yes.
other efforts that is there is not taken into account. So how many types of project are we looking at into SAP when we are creating, when you're thinking of a project, what three types of project can come into accounting?
Okay.
Any clues? Ajay, Vibhuti?
No, ma'am, I'm audible, right?
Yeah, fine. So I'll
Yeah.
just tell, okay? So three type of majorly projects that we are
Uh,
looking at. First is
ma'am,
investment
okay.
project.
So will you share this Excel sheet to us, or we will write these points in our notebook?
You can write it, okay? And
Yeah.
if required, I'll send this also to you,
So
okay?
I'll take my
If
notebook, ma'am.
anything that
One
I'm
minute.
saying that you want to write it, you can write it down. If and whatever is there in the Excel sheet, I'll share it with you.
Okay, so let me get my notebook, ma'am. Only two
Yeah, sure.
seconds.
Sure. Please go ahead.
This
Okay.
conference will now be
Now
recorded.
we have revenue projects, okay, and we have cost or overhead projects. What do we mean by this? Okay, so what we usually in like a client like your company is, we are going into revenue projects, okay,
Yes.
where we are trying to get into profits, calculate the loss, and our analysis is there, where you're investing something, you're
Yeah.
selling something. So these are all revenue or customer projects. These revenue projects is also called the customer projects. Fine. Now, what is investment project? In investment project, you're creating projects, but you're not looking at like any near future revenue generation. But yes, in the long run, maybe 10 years down the road, or 20 years down the road, you are expecting some revenue or expecting some like profits to be there. Okay, so that is an investment project. Okay, it usually when you come to the, you must have heard about asset projects. Okay, so the settlement
Yeah.
happens in AUC. Okay, and from AUC into asset.
So AUC stand for, ma'am?
The asset projects only, the header projects. Like this is called revenue and customer project. Here we go
So
into in from
AUC is a
investment
terms of SAP or something like that?
terms of SAP. Yes.
Okay, term of
Okay.
SAP. Okay.
Yeah. So here in asset projects, you're settling like here cost centers, and like cost center is the place where you're making this cost accounting. The asset is what you here you come into project structures, which you open and close, right?
Yeah.
Here it is finally the asset, or when we call it is an asset project which comes to a closure. So when you're investing on something, and when it is done and dusted, the asset is closed. Okay, asset is disposed of. Like project is closed, the asset is disposed of. So we'll
Okay.
not go into detail much. What we are looking into this is, I'm just letting you know because these are the 3 type of projects that is there in SAP and you should be knowing it.
And
Whatever.
ma'am, what about the cost and OEC project means it is continuously you are investing something, but you are not expecting any revenue. Is that so?
Let me tell you. Here, you suppose for you're into infrastructure, okay? So
Yes.
into infrastructure, you are creating. You have purchased a land, okay, and then you are constructing a house there, okay? Constructing a house or building something. So you are going to generate when you sell off the flats, you're going to generate the revenue. Fine.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what is investment project? For making the construction work, you have purchased a stray land, okay, which is not good fit for construction, but you have purchased it. Why? To store the machines or artillery that you have purchased for the construction because you're doing it every time, okay?
Capital investments. Yeah.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
It helps you in your business, but is not directly responsible to generate a revenue.
Right.
Okay.
And the depreciation value also will go on up to the whatever the revenue we will get it. So maybe in the future, in near future, after 10 years, you will get the profit out of it.
Yes, maybe when you sell the land after 10-20 years, you'll get some profit,
money
but
out
not
of it.
immediately.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is an investment. Okay.
Okay.
So similar, but what is overhead? Overhead projects. Overhead projects is like you are creating a project, in this construction project only. What is overhead? You are advertising, okay, that you are going to sell flats for around this is sale, Ugadi sale is there, Gudi Padwa sale is there, and you're going to sell your flats at 10% discount, 20%. But this person who is taking advertisement cost and you're taking permission from government, so these are all overheads. Okay, so you're not going to generate any revenue. This is not any investment, but direct cost. This is not to any sales. You're not going to sell anything here, but this is an overhead cost that is you're going to accumulate in the projects, and you should have it in your reporting. So you sometimes create these projects.
But somehow, ma'am, in our organization, normally, or in every organization, they are using the 3 type of project only. Because investment project, they are investing somewhere, and after that, they are earning the revenue out of it. And overhead also be there because they have to operate, so overhead will be there, like manpower, resources, stores, operations. Every operation have a overhead.
No. Investment project, how usually we do is it is like once in a it is not something that you're creating every
year. Like SAP implementation.
Yeah, it is an investment.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that it is an investment, but you're not doing it every year. Maybe 25 years, 20 years, you're doing it once. Okay. So, but overhead project can be a yearly thing. Okay, you're every year there's some sale is coming out, the industry is doing some advertisements. So this kind of project can be there. And what majorly we are focusing and what major configurations in this entire module we are going to look at it is the revenue projects.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the major 3 kinds of projects: investment, revenue, and overhead. Fine. Now that we understand about this project, we have to understand what is the life cycle that we are looking at. Okay. So we start at the creation stage. Once the project is created, we have planning stage. Then we have execution. We'll come into the SAP system maybe later, maybe tomorrow, but today we are going to understand, we have covered what the modules we are going to cover, what kinds of projects we are looking at.
Okay.
What are the stages that we are going to cover?
Yes.
Okay. Invoicing, billing rather, I'll put billing and closure. Okay. So in creation stage, what are the important things we look at? In creation stage, we are looking at, let me put it just a second. In creation stage, what we are looking at, what kind of project it is, whether it is an investment, whether it's a revenue project, whether it's an overhead project. Okay. So identification of project is there. Identification of project is there. Just change the color coding for this. Now, whether your company uses only this kind of project, if you're not using investment or overhead projects, whether you need to segregate the identification. What do I mean by segregate? Whether if you're using, if your electronics, Bajaj Electronics is using only revenue projects, then maybe we can start the project naming, which is the unique identity of that project from R across the globe. Okay, wherever your electronics is there, Bajaj Electronics is there. So we'll use this naming convention. And if there are only just two types of project, we'll start with R and overhead projects. But if you want to segregate it, if you need further segregation, then we have to do further identification of this project, like ROIN, RIN, like it is on in
That
India.
nomenclature are depending, yeah. So those nomenclature may be depend upon the client requirement, whether how they are wants to
Not
see that.
client
Whether
requirement, you are the client here. Okay, so you will be deciding whether you need this nomenclature or not. So this decision has to be taken at the creation stage. Okay, when you are trying to whether you need any nomenclature, which is the unique identity of this project. After identification of the project, your nomenclature of the project is very important, if needed or not. Okay, that decision has to be taken at this stage itself. Once it is decided, you have to decide upon the template of the project. This is all just the creation stage. Okay, so what do you mean by template of the project? Any idea, Vibhuti, Atul?
template of the project means what are the
Atul,
things
you would
are
like to say something? Atul,
No,
hello.
template. I think you are talking about WBS.
Template includes WBS, but what does template mean?
I think what are the processes you will cover under this, right? What are the processes they will what are the element you require for execution of this project? This all identification, like a supply, where to supply, what the execution.
When we create a project, it's not a very likable solution or useful process that every time you create a project from scratch. Since business is the same, so we prefer when you apply for a job, okay, so then you're asked for your name, current CTC, expected CTC. Okay, so this is the template. Okay, this is common across all the people, all the HRs who are looking for candidates. Maybe they can ask for which company. Okay, so this addition you can do, but these three things going to be remain same. Notice period. So every time, like I'm just giving a short example. Okay, so just try to understand what I'm telling at. The initial things, 3, 4, 5 fields will remain same for all the HRs. 2, 3 things they can add or delete, but whatever remains standard is called the template. Okay, every time you send it to a new candidate, you need not write all these things. The candidate will just fill in the B column. So in project also, you define after your project definition. Suppose I'm taking an example of construction work. So you define my major work for construction is procurement of material. Project definition is there, that is the naming of the project. Then project material, procurement material, people, like resource planning you have to do. That is a major thing that you're doing. Then sales handling, and maybe taxation handling. So these are the major subdivisions inside your construction project. Okay, if you have decided the 4 header. Okay,
Whether
Yes,
it is a construction project or any other project, like if we go to the plant, they also do the same thing. If we go to the pharmaceutical, they also
yeah,
do the same thing.
anything. I'm just
Yeah. So
taking
by
example of
every, yeah. So no, I'm asking you because why I'm asking on that perspective. So any company with respect to domain, they are doing the same thing. Whether only the procurement or material may be uh, maybe a optional for them, but other thing they are doing anyhow.
yeah, fine. So these are the parent heads. Okay, under procurement, we can have procurement from local vendor.
Yes.
Okay, and like let me just put it here. Control X. Procurement from a particular division vendor.
Outside vendor, yeah, division vendor.
Yeah, division vendor or external vendor. You might have a government vendor also. So you can segregate your material as per vendor. Okay.
And in-house also you can manufacture and
Right.
you can build to
So
the
under
your
that,
own
it
view.
can be subdivision, but these are the parent defining. So every time someone is, maybe Atul is also creating a project. If Atul again has to do all these things, okay, so it will be very cumbersome. So he has to decide, this has to be, the template has to be decided at the creation of the project. So when your Vibhuti is creating a project, he has created it once. So when Atul uses the same template, maybe in the new project, government vendor is not applicable, so he'll just delete it. Okay, or some other vendor is required, so he'll just add it. Okay, in the structure. So basic layout or the skeleton is already there, and you're just modifying it. That is called template creation.
So, ma'am, template is there. Standard templates are there in the SP where you need
No,
to
no
amend those
standard
points,
template
or
is
you
there.
have to create that. No
We
standard,
have
right?
to create.
Okay.
No standard template is there.
Okay, ma'am.
Every time a consultant comes to you, comes to the end user,
Okay.
understands the requirement, and creates the standard template in the project.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is how. So at this creation stage, like I'm telling you what goes inside the head of the consultant when he's coming to you for understanding the requirements.
Okay.
When the data at the data gathering stage itself, we have to get these. Let me check here. Okay. So template or nomenclature is decided, template of the project is decided. Now we have done the codification, template is created. Now we have to understand the planning part. Okay, in planning part, first thing is that we have to understand what are the things we are going to require, like any resource planning we have to do.
Yeah. Material planning.
Material, right? Material planning. Resource planning is
Storage
also
planning,
called the labor planning. Okay, I'll just put it here.
Cost
And
planning.
any direct cost, yes. Any other direct cost that we are looking at. Okay, so this kind of planning and how we are going to configure the backend, like so that the cost comes into the project and comes into the like these direct cost planning happens at the GL account level. Okay, so that setup has to be there, and then you can do all these planning. Okay, for resource planning, your you should know like what is the cost associated with each person. Like if Vibhuti is the general manager, his cost of 1 hour is different from mine if I'm just a manager at a particular division. My cost of 1 hour working will be very much different for what is Vibhuti 1 hour working. So that timing is time capturing also has to be done. So here you see Vibhuti, the finance part is also okay. When you're doing resource planning, when you're doing material planning, at the back end, the material should be configured in the system. The material stock should be updated. So P2P part is coming here, configuration. You see here? And again, in direct cost, the finance configuration is there. The GL account should be set up against which when you do some cost planning, where it will go. Okay, that is very important. So the configuration part here in planning is very important. In fact, scheduling is also a part of planning.
Scheduling. Yeah. And even if revenue planning also coming under this.
Yeah. All here I'm covering all planning. Okay, scheduling is coming into place now. Budgeting is coming into here. Okay, scheduling, budgeting, everything is part of the planning. So when we start execution, what are we looking at? In execution, we have to see first thing, status update. The project status should always be release. Okay, when you are trying to capture any execution efforts. Then what else? Sorry.
You need to update the execution. Execution
Sorry,
activities.
Execution progress.
Execution,
So,
status update will capture all the progress. But in execution, what are you going to actually do? You're going to consume the materials.
Consume the materials, yeah.
You're going to not only consume the materials, you're going to consume the efforts.
Consume the activity.
Yeah, this is called activity confirmations.
Yes.
Okay, you consume the activity conversation. All your purchase requisitions will be converted to the POs. If you have purchased it from external vendor into any other vendor, okay, depending upon that, all the POs will go into GR, goods receipt will be done.
Yeah.
Okay, GR and outbound delivery, if it is applicable, you will be doing all those activities. Okay, I don't know what are the spellings.
It's okay, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry for that. Okay, so now once the execution part is complete, what we are looking at, status update is very important. Once your execution is complete, you have to mark the status as
Complete, yeah.
Once it is done, you have to go to the invoicing part. Depending, like for India, I understand it's always 100% GST that you are procuring. One milestone it is there, but it can be down payment scenario or anything else that you have to consider. That is an SD configuration or integration with SD. So here you have to capture that. Okay. So billing will involve the invoicing, reporting, RS settlements, everything. And finally, when you are completed with all the TECO, you can just mark it as TECO, technically completed, and close it, go for closure. This system status is, I can mark it as different. Okay, COM is also a system status. Yeah. So here you think like all these things we will be covering, and the configuration behind it, behind the things that is happening in the front end. So anything you want to add here, you have to let me know right away, so that when I prepare the document, when I prepare the examples for you, I am having those in my docket.
Okay. So, ma'am, here what we found the glitches in PR to PO conversion. So we do have a lot of doubts there. So maybe in that cycle time we will cover that. We'll ask you the question, because maybe right now if we'll ask those questions, so it will create a chaos.
Yeah,
so it will be better we'll cover that. Because see, you have covered each and everything here. Each and everything you have covered, whatever we are doing day-to-day life. Even if Atul can confirm it, Atul, you can confirm it. We are operating this all activity in our side, right? And even if we are doing, we are not operating. So those words are not new for us before SAP also.
Perfect.
So you have covered everything, ma'am. Whenever we find like where the missing link, we'll let you know at the same time. But you have covered everything, right?
Done. Perfect. So you have the SAP access here, login ID, credentials shared with you?
No, ma'am, not by this one, but we have our own SAP login IDs.
Okay, so I'll just check with. Let me just check if she's there. So Sonia, can you tell me if we are going to get our credentials? When are the students going to get the credentials for, like, to test it in the system?